Today, we're going to dive into it a little bit more. And plus, I wanted to share that very important, what I think is a really crucial thing to understand why this is happening. So it's not like society is going to fall apart. It's not the zombie apocalypse, but we're trying to avoid the overwhelm for our healthcare system.
What's up, my friend? I'm health expert Ted Rice, and today I'm coming to you from Medellin, Colombia, where I'm in complete lockdown. They're not letting anybody into the country. Haven't really checked to see if they're letting people out. So this is, to get to the point of this episode, this is my second coronavirus episode. As I said in the first episode, in case you missed it, I've been really annoyed and frustrated with a lot of the news outlets who seem to be trying to capitalize, clickbait and fear and not really giving good information. So I took it upon myself to do this to help you out. Also to help me out, to be honest, just to dive into the information, because once we start to learn about something and understand it, it takes the power away of that thing to influence you in a negative way. So if this is your first time listening to the show, this show is all about clearing up health and fitness confusion by breaking down science-based information on how to lose fat, prevent disease, and live a longer, healthier life. So if that's what you're interested in, you're in the right place. If you've been listening for a while, please leave us a review. If you don't know how to do that, we've created a resource for you at legendarylifepodcast.com/review. That's legendarylifepodcast.com/review. And if you like what you hear today, hit that subscribe button wherever you listen to podcasts so that every time one of my episodes goes live, you'll be the first to know. So this is, again, the second episode in this coronavirus series. And if you haven't listened to the first one, I did a bit of a deep dive, not that deep really, if you think about the whole field of virology and epidemiology. So I don't go into it that much because frankly, I don't know that stuff very well. But I did go into the CDC facts and just talked about information and making sure that you stay away from the idiots. I could say that in a nice way, but let's, for brevity's sake, let's just call them idiots who are, trying to sell you colloidal silver supplements or trying to tell you that some workout or diet will prevent or cure the coronavirus. I go into all that stuff in that first episode. All right, so let's get into this episode, which is really about mindset here. And before we dive in, I want to just ask you some questions. How's your energy level right now on a scale of 1 to 10? Are you feeling 1, completely exhausted, or 10, you're firing on, you're turned up to 11? You're feeling like a superstar. And how calm and focused are you today on a scale of 1 to 10? Are you freaked out and frazzled at a 1, or, are you feeling like a Zen master at around 9 or 10? And how is your mood and outlook right now? Are you feeling utterly miserable and victimized by current events? Or are you like, oh, this is awesome? I can't say I'm there. I'm not viewing this as completely awesome, especially because people will be dying and getting sick. And, so I can't say awesome and hooray that this is happening, but where are you on a scale of 1 to 10? And how supported do you feel right now by the people around you? Are you, 1, utterly alone, like everyone else is checked out or being negative or dragging you down? Or are you feeling that sense of group morale and it's #GoTeam, right? On a 9 or a 10. And how supported do you feel by your environment right now? Is it a 1, like not at all, or 10, 9 or 10? Is it really like supporting your health, supporting you in the ways that you need? So that's just a quick assessment that I want you to do. Where are you on all those things? I want you to think about that because we're going to be talking about more mindset information today. And before I get to that, I want to cover one important thing that I've learned and I think would be helpful for you. So you might be wondering, you see all these people on social media, if you're on social media like I am, talking about, oh, well, the flu only kills this many people. And so look, so many of us are wondering, why is this extreme response to the coronavirus when it's mostly deadly to older people or those with chronic medical conditions or underlying medical conditions? So this is what is important, I believe, to understand. Now, this is just, I'll go ahead and say it's my opinion, but it's from reading the situations from the people on the front line, from medical professionals who are handling this. The real big reason why this extreme reaction, right? Because you feel like, oh man, why are people panicking in fear? Why is the government shutting things down? This is costing money. I saw this one idiot on social media. He's like, yeah, don't be a sheep. It was talking about this is the flu, bro, that type of thing. So here's what you got to understand. This isn't about selling a lot of toilet paper. It's not about, the government overreacting to something that should be reacted to on a much smaller level. Here's what's going on. The problem here is not that it's going to just wipe us out. Okay? We know a lot of people. I went over the facts. You can get them from the CDC. Go to the CDC website or World Health Organization. You can see who is, who's getting really sick, who's experiencing really bad complications, and who's dying as a result. And the at-risk people, are older people or those with underlying medical conditions. So if that's the case, why are we all responding so aggressively? Right? That's what everyone kind of wants to know. It's what I wanted to know. And here's the thing. There are already people who have cancer, who are, are getting heart attacks, who have diabetes complications, who have accidents and need to go to the emergency room. There's people who need intensive care. And there's only so many beds. Our hospitals, if you just look at it from a purely logistic perspective, our hospitals are not prepared to handle millions of people who are getting sick and going to the hospital who may need care. That's why they're telling you, if you're sick, just stay home. Don't go to the hospital unless you have trouble breathing. So do you understand how this is really about that? It's about avoiding, at least the way I understand it, okay? Obviously, I'm just trying to figure this out, just like you are. I want to present myself as someone who really has their head wrapped around this, but I'd like to think that with the things that I did learn, that this is like the thing, right? Why this approach is so important. If it's not so deadly to those of us who are younger and healthy. Just besides the fact that we don't know all the ramifications of this virus because it's new, the governments are trying to avoid overwhelming the hospitals, because if that happens, it's going to be a real shit show. All right. That's what's happening in Italy. Apparently that's where Iran's in the middle of that. So it's really important that we are on board with this, right? And in part, that's so. Do you understand that? Right? It makes sense. This is about avoiding the overwhelm to our healthcare system and causing just pandemonium where just our healthcare system isn't equipped to handle the sheer number of people who will get sick and who will need what you would call intensive medical care, right? Put on respirators, because there's no cure or treatment for this disease, COVID-19, right? So The name of the virus, by the way, just to remind you, is SARS-CoV-2. The disease that it causes is COVID-19. So there's no treatment in terms of like, oh, well, here's this medicine that you take and it'll get rid of it, like an antiviral or a vaccine, right? So what people are doing in the healthcare field are they're helping you if you have breathing trouble, they're helping you breathe. They're putting you on mechanical respirators. They're giving you medication to lower the fever, those types of things. And the big issue here is the pneumonia, because this virus attaches into your lungs. So we're trying to avoid overwhelming the healthcare situations because that's what they're worried about here in Colombia. That's what they're worried about basically in every country. When it's a new virus like this, a lot of people get sick. And the more people get sick, the more people are going to need care, and the more people who will need advanced care, intensive care, and we're just not set up for it, and it will create an absolute shit show and put our healthcare workers at serious risk, right? These people who are giving their time and putting themselves at risk, and then it's going to put them even at more risk. So that is how I'm going to frame this. So what can we do to support this situation, to support ourselves, to support our families? Now, we talked a lot about that in the first episode, but today we're going to dive into it a little bit more. And plus, I wanted to share that very important, what I think is a really crucial thing to understand why this is happening. So it's not like society is going to fall apart. It's not the zombie apocalypse. But we're trying to avoid the overwhelm for our healthcare system because, it's going to mean even more people will die. And that's someone's mother or father, right? Brother, sister, it's tough stuff. So let's talk about this. In this time, number one is to really, again, this is going to be a bit of a repeat of last time, but really focus on solid sources of information. Stay away from the people who are trying to tell you it's the government's plan to reduce the population. It's like, well, they're all getting sick too. It's so stupid. These conspiracy people. It's like, okay, cool. How'd you figure that out, man? So it usually is men, by the way, believe in this dumb shit. But it's like, yeah, well, I was on the internet. It's like, oh, cool, great. So you're reading the same. It's just absolutely ridiculous. They've got no evidence. It's just people going down the internet rabbit hole and thinking that they're connecting dots. It's just I can't. I don't want to take too much time, but let's just say it's not the type of critical thinking or careful analysis that we should just avoid those idiots. Okay. So get your information from solid sources. Hopefully, I fit that as a voice of reason right now. So the other thing is look at your situation, look at first yourself, right? Because it all starts with you. You are the leader of your family. You might be the leader of your business. And even if you don't consider yourself a leader, it's a time where you can start acting like one. And so the first thing I want to ask you, we did a little check-in about the environment and how supported you feel, but let's first talk about ourselves. So how are you feeling? Are you feeling more active or feeling more passive? Like, are you feeling active? Like, okay, what can I do here? Or are you feeling more passive? Are you feeling more positive or are you feeling more negative? Are you feeling, this is something we've been through world wars. We've been through, the swine flu. We've been through a lot of different things. This is another blip in the radar. It's another story to tell the kids or for another story for your kids to tell their kids. So here's what we want. We want to be in a situation where we take this situation seriously. For example, you should be, err on the side of overreaction in the sense, maybe not overreaction, but like action, err on the side of action and have enough food for your family. I mean, we're not going to run out of food, right? There's no need to stock up for the rest of the year, but you do want to stock up long enough to allow the virus to kind of peter out, because what they're trying to do is bring the spread rate down to zero, because if they bring the spread rate down to a certain level, the virus peters out. It just doesn't have any people to infect. Our immune systems, the immune systems of the people who are infected, fight it off, and boom, virus is done, stop spreading. So acting enough to have enough food and to avoid going into public areas is a good thing. But stocking up, taking, the year's supply of toilet paper, get yourself a bidet on Amazon. If Amazon's still delivering, there's no need for that. This episode is sponsored by Organifi. Do you want to know a secret that all my coaching clients follow? It's really simple, but powerful. Add vegetables into each meal. But let's be honest, most of us, including myself, don't eat the recommended servings of vegetables and fruits each day. So for those of us who are on the go or have trouble eating healthy, having a greens powder makes it easy to get your greens in every single day, no matter how busy you are. And that's why I use and recommend Organifi Green Juice, a superfood powder that you just add water to so that you can get your greens in even when you're on the go. The best thing about Organifi Green Juice is that it actually tastes great. But don't believe me, try it for yourself. And use the code TED20, that's capital TED, the number 20, at www.organifi.com. That's Organifi.com to receive 20% off your first order. But hurry, this is a limited time discount for Legendary Life listeners. Now, back to the episode. So ask yourself this. This is a concept I talk a lot about in my coaching. It's brainwash yourself for success. So what does this mean? This really means that we're always brainwashing ourselves. And brainwashing is just kind of something I'm using. It sounds cooler than developing habits, right? But we're habituating ourselves. So whether we're watching the news 24/7, just listening to the coronavirus thing, updates all the time, and just brainwashing ourselves with that, or are we listening to our own inner thoughts and negative thoughts, or are we listening to things that are helping us look at this situation in the right way? So what are you brainwashing yourself right now with? Did I say that right? What are you listening to that is brainwashing you? And are you brainwashing yourself for positive action, taking care of business? I want to share what I'm listening to. I'm listening to Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink, the Navy SEAL. Excellent book to listen to in these times because Jocko uses his experience from the Iraq War. So where lives are really on the line, lives are on the line here, but it's a very different situation. Lives are really on the line in war because that's part of the whole strategy is to decimate the opposition, kill people until the opposition just can't fight anymore, right? So we're not in that type of extreme situation, but I feel like when you listen to that, it gives you perspective. So who are you listening to? What are you listening to right now? And I'll say this too, as much as I love doing this podcast and I feel like I'm really doing great work here, at least always doing my best. I don't always hit home runs, I know that, but I'm doing my best. But I'll tell you, it's superficial. I want you to go deep on something. Of course, come here, listen to the episode. I don't do an episode even every day, right? We're doing 2 a week and we're going to do more with the coronavirus thing because I want to be there and support you. Through this, I want more voices of reason out there to combat all the voices of unreason, all the ridiculousness. So who are you listening to? What are you listening to? I want you to choose an audiobook. I appreciate if you listen to this show, but choose an audiobook and go deep. And how about diving into some leadership lessons? If you don't like or have already read Extreme Ownership, if you don't connect with it or have already read Extreme Ownership by Jocko, I suggest Dare to Lead by Brené Brown, Smile at Fear by Pema Chodron. I'm sure there's some other great leadership books. Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek. These are all great books because this is what you're being tested with. Are you a leader? Or are you, it's not being a follower, by the way. There's the best leaders are also the best followers. So it's, are you a leader or are you falling apart, really? Okay. And it starts with your mind, your thoughts. Put thoughts in your head that are empowering you to look at the opportunity in the obstacle that we're currently faced with. All right. The second thing is, are you supporting your body? Are you doing exercise? Are you looking at this? Oh, well, my gym is closed down. What I'm doing for all my clients, what I did right away. Okay, tell me what equipment you have at home. Let's get on it. Let's get you on a workout program at home. It's amazing to see how many people are stepping up right now. So this is a great opportunity to take action. And even one of the lessons that Jocko talks about in Extreme Ownership is like, what can you do here? I don't want to hear about, and he doesn't say it like this, but I'm just saying, I'm just roughly paraphrasing here. I don't want to hear about what the situation is. All I want to know is, what can you do? And there's always something you can do. So challenge yourself. How can you get in shape? What workouts can you do? What can you do for cardio? I don't have a cardio machine. Can you go running? No, my knees hurt. Can you walk? Yeah, I can do that. Or no, I can't do that. It's frozen. It's too cold outside. It's snowing. Okay. Can you march in place while you're watching Netflix? You can absolutely do that. There is always something you can do. Get after it. Can you do body weight push-ups, body weight squats? Do you have other equipment you can use? Get after it. Manage your energy by getting in shape. Another thing is to understand that this is really, what are we really talking about here? We're talking about, and I'll do a follow-up episode. In fact, I have one prepared for you, but I, had to switch gears due to current circumstances. But we're talking about keeping yourself in a peak state. We're talking about operating in a peak state. Shit's always going to go wrong in life. I don't know if you remember from physics class in junior high school or middle school, depending on where you went to school, but the first law of thermodynamics is what? Energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transferred, right? That's why calories matter, folks. But the second rule of thermodynamics, second law of thermodynamics, and this is a law, not a theory, is entropy. So things fall apart, metal rusts, DNA accrues mutations as we replicate our cells over and over. Your car's tire is going to wear out and need to be replaced. Things fall apart. It is the second law of the freaking universe, all right? So things fall apart, but psychologically, you don't have to. So what does this mean? Well, Tony Robbins has talked a lot about it. I've lived this way ever since I started going through after I pulled myself out of that downward spiral after my brother was kidnapped and murdered. This idea that you got to get back into a peak state when your feelings and emotions start to spiral. Once something happens that triggers you, feel the feelings. Get angry, feel sad, feel like a victim. It's okay. It's okay to feel those things. But what you need to do is you need to process your way through those feelings and emotions so they don't have time to fester and build roots in your mind. Okay? Once they take hold, once they get that stickiness and you can't get rid of them, it's all I think about. It's all I think about. You're hooked. Do not let yourself get hooked. Well, how do you do that? Well, first is by acknowledging your feelings and feeling them. Don't, as Americans, I'm just speaking from about Americans because I'm American, but probably most of the Western world, we feel like we should never feel bad. And that if we do feel bad, that's bad. And then that creates more bad feelings. And it's just this ridiculous, vicious circle. The truth is, quote unquote, bad feelings are part of the game. They give us perspective. What does that mean? You can't have light without dark. You can't have good without bad. It gives you something, some perspective, some comparison to appreciate the good times, right? It has contrast, because if it were all great all the time, it wouldn't be so great. Not to get too philosophical there, but so you've got to feel your feelings, and it's okay to feel whatever way you feel. As my mentor, Peter Sage, says, it's not a problem if you visit. It's only a problem if you hang out there all the time. So process those feelings and realize it's okay to feel whatever way you're feeling. And a lot of those things probably come from childhood. The triggering comes from childhood. We're not going to get into that today because we all get it, and our childhoods may be very different, but we all get it. And the answer is always the same. It's time to change your state, because learning how to get back into a peak state is a game changer. It allows you to take back control of your feelings and emotions and to take positive action. So I work with my clients to help them create a peak, to help them understand what things help them transition out of a downward spiral into a position of power, back into that peak state. But I want to ask you right now, what makes you feel good? Is it exercise? Is it listening to music? Is it dancing? Is it listening to something powerful? Is it listening to this podcast? Is it listening to an audiobook? Who is the author? And really be honest with yourself about what makes you feel good. Because we could say, well, eating cookies makes me feel good, and watching TV and sitting on my butt. It's like, yeah, but then you get fat, out of shape, and then you feel bad about that. So I'm talking about what makes you feel good, because you know it's helping you build towards something better. So let's not play games here. Let's be adults about that. I'm sure most of you are on board with that idea, but just in case anybody's mind happens to go to that very immature place. And by the way, it's okay to be immature, but then get your shit together and start acting like an adult. So that's what it's about. What are the things that help you get back into a peak state? Now I'll share with you. Okay, so here's what I did today. I was a little bit run down waking up this morning, didn't sleep well because the blinds in here are not good. So I wake up when the sun comes up. And so I only slept about 5.5 hours, where I was sleeping much better when I was in a shittier apartment in Santa Marta, actually Taganga on the coast of Colombia. It was in a nice place, but it was the bedrooms. I slept very well. They were cold. They were dark. It was awesome. I'm working on fixing that. But just to give you an idea of why I haven't been sleeping well and why I feel the way I feel. So I woke up, wasn't feeling great, needed to get a lot of stuff done. So what did I do? I went and worked out. I did some explosive repeats and then did some threshold intervals and then hopped in the sauna for about 10 minutes, came back, meditated for 30 minutes, and boom, now I'm here doing this. That's what I did. I'm feeling not 100% to be honest, but I'm feeling good. I'm going to go food shopping after this, come back. I've got calls all day with clients. I've got new calls with new clients, and that's what was going to help me. And I may have to do other things. And by the way, when I was doing my cardio, I was listening to Extreme Ownership, which is a bit of a bonus there. When you're doing your workouts, I highly recommend, people fight me on this all the time. They're like, I just like listening to music. Cool. The music can help and it's not a bad thing, but I would implore you to give it a try. Start listening to the audio. It's like, well, I don't hear all of it. Well, you don't hear all of it anyway when you're listening to an audiobook, right? You're not always dialed into every word I say while you're driving or doing your workout, and that's okay. Is the general gist getting into your mind and influencing you? Yes or no? Do you feel a difference after listening to it? Yes or no? And if the answer is yes, then keep doing that. You don't have to be so anal when it comes to, I missed that one part. No, listen to the book again. It's not a problem. So that's what I did. I want to know, what do you do? Maybe you don't meditate. Maybe it's time to start. But what can you do? What do you do that puts you in a good state? Figure that out and start doing it. And whenever you feel bad, whenever you feel like you're losing your edge, automatically go to the place where you start to build up your energy again to get out of that tailspin. So simple. And so that's what I want to leave you with today. When I come back next time, we're going to be talking about workouts at home, what to do, equipment. We're going to go into, actually, to be honest, I don't know all the details that I'm going to share with you because I'm still working on the episode. So that's what I've got coming to you next. And I just want you, again, your mindset here is really important. All right. Your mindset here is really important. And there's some people who this is just a kick in the teeth, and they're gonna stay down after that kick, and then they're gonna slowly, pathetically get back. As things get back to normal, they'll get back to normal. Then there's people who are going to use this as an obstacle. I've got clients who are going to make more money now. I'm using it as a time I've got more calls. People want to get in shape, and I'm showing them how to get in shape at home. Okay? There's opportunities here. And I don't just mean, opportunities to make some money. Don't let me charge triple for face masks and toilet paper. That's not what I'm talking about. There's an opportunity for you to step up and lead. There may be a business opportunity. Again, business for me at least is about helping people to solve problems, not about ripping them off with some dumb bullshit or getting them to pay more for something that should just be regular priced, and it's expensive because these predatory price gouging people. So just keep in mind, you can be one of those people that capitalize on this and you come out better. And I got to say, I'm really impressed from the reports I've been hearing. My dad says a lot of people stepped up for him. I love that. I love that about Americans. Remember, we went through world wars. We've been through pandemics before. We've been through epidemics. We've been through a lot of different things. This is going to be over. Where do you want to be when this is over? In a year from now, it's going to be a blip on the radar, right? Just a little speed bump in the road that you drove over and went past, and you don't really even think too much about it. Be that person. Keep in mind that this is going to be over. Where do you want to be when it's over? Do you want to be behind, or do you want to be ahead of the curve? I believe we're all winners, but not all of us act like winners. So don't act like a loser. Act like a winner. We need more people to step up, take action, be that person. Love you. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope you got something positive out of it. Go take some action, and I'll speak to you soon.